I actually have someone shadowing to me today, Shinsu here. He'll do a quick introduction of himself after I do mine. So I'm a cloud infrastructure architect from AWS. I've been with the company for about a year or two, almost. Can't lost count. So, I'm I focus on DevOps automation and security. And today I'll be leading the interview. And again, Shintu here will be just shadowing me. We do have a AWS internal type of process where in order to do an interview, someone will be shadowing a person who's been certified to go through the process. That's why he's here. Shintu, if you could just do a quick intro of yourself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chintu, and I've been with AWS for about 4 and change months, and I'm also a cloud infrastructure architect in the same group as Virginia.
Okay, great. And thank you very much. And just let's go through into the process. So I'll be typing copious notes, so I promise you I'm not actually checking my Instagram, do my Facebook stuff. I'm paying attention to you. I'm just taking a lot of notes just to capture a full experience of your profile. All right. And feel free to talk. And if you would like to talk, just let me know. I know video is kind of weird. I might be a little bit abrupt just to kind of move on to different questions. It's just again get a full scope of your experiences, and just let me know if you need to, suddenly get up, we go to a bathroom break, sip water, you spill coffee or something. All good. Awesome. Just allow me 1 or 2 minutes here. Things shift on laptops. I'm just gonna bring up a notepad again just to take notes. But let's just start off with, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Definitely. Actually, when coming to my roles and responsibilities in this project, I was actually working as a DevOps engineer with the MetLife in Cary, North Carolina. And actually, I responsible for working on the various control, setting up Amazon services as per the requirement of the development team. And we have done in the next so many, I configured the virtual private cloud, and I also work with public and private subnets, and working with the hybrid model of the Amazon with information management and with direct connect line, and also work in the cloud formation templates and using the auto scaling groups. And I also responsible for working on the Ansible playbook and using Ansible playbooks for the blue-green deployment in the case with the dynamic inventory, and working and application deployment on the real-time mission is behind the load balancer without any downtime. On the real-time mission is without any downtime. I also work on some of the release management and doing the blue-green integrations, and also working Jenkins based Groovy pipeline for the orchestration of the application code. And I also had good experience in working on the way the sprint planning and sprint review meetings which were running, and level of responsibility for handling the Atlassian compliance for the project management. And I also creating the necessary documentation for developers and monitoring the servers with Amazon CloudWatch alarms, and using REST API to maintain the communication with the pipeline, and connecting between the different tools, and also working on the Java the source code environment, and handle a third-party environment. So this is also one of the things which I was working on, and monitoring it on the real-time environment. And also had a good experience in the Docker containers and using the Chef, as well as writing some of the cookbooks in the Chef cookbook, and using Docker container orchestration and Kubernetes by using various pods and config maps. And I almost got some experience in writing the Docker files and then building custom Docker containers and using the SSL security certificate management for enterprise by managing the certificates across multiple SSL providers.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and just kind of move on to a couple of things here. So you mentioned a few things. Sounds great. It looks like you're really into some automation tools and so forth. Let's go ahead and just kind of go into a couple of questions, and I might start this out and go back and forth. So that would just generally be the cadence of it. You mentioned you did some Java work, right? So is that your strongest language at this moment in time?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So do you mind if I just ask you? I know it's probably pretty simple, kind of elementary type of questions here, but bear with me just to get an idea of what's going on. So do you know what a constructor is?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what a constructor is? You mentioned that you mentioned or what it's polymorphism?
Yes, you're asking about the Java constructor, right? So
yeah.
Java constructor is nothing but it's actually a feature of Java language. Basically lets you initialize the multiple objects. Basically reservation is something which instance of the class is created in this case for constructor. Is a block of code that method is called, and when the instance is the class is created, in this case is a special type of method which is used to initialize object in every time. When object is created in the new keyword, at this one constructor is called, in this case, runtime environment, and then you can actually create the method.
Okay, great. And I apologize, I'm a slow typer here, so you could just slightly kind of slow down your cadence. It'd be awesome, because I'm just, again, I'm really bad at typing. And you've mentioned a couple of times that you're staging objects and so forth. Can you just kind of give me an example of what are abstract classes and the difference between a class and interface?
Sure. So when coming to the abstract classes, first of all, the abstract class is actually called when an instance of inherited class is created, service tag class that cannot use to create the objects. And an abstract method can also used in abstract classes, and it does not have a body set. The body is provided by the subclass from where it is inherited.
And that would be the abstract class or the inheritance? Sorry about that. Or the interface. Sorry. So you just mentioned that there's going to be no body in which the abstract class or the interface.
So basically, I would like to say that abstract class in the interfaces, that the main difference is that abstract and cannot have implementation of the job. Abstract class can have instance method that implements a default behavior, and abstract class and contain non-final variables and the memory of Java interface are by default public in this case, and the members of the Java interface are default public, and then Java and abstract classes can have the usual symbols of class members like private and protected. The interface extend another interface only, and abstract class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So can you describe to me what, because you just mentioned public and private, can you describe to me what the keyword static means and what a static method is?
Yeah, sure. Coming to the static and static keyword, when a member is declared static, it can be accessed before any object of a class which is created, and without any reference to the object is static keyword in Java used for memory management mainly, and you can apply the static keyword to variables and methods, and then the attitude belongs to the class, then the instance of the class and static and variable. If we require any static variable, it is known as static variable, and the static variable can be used to refer to common property of all objects. And static variables get memory only once in the class area by the time of class loading in this case.
Okay, great. Thanks. And just going to do one or two more questions, and then we're probably going to move on, okay? So can you just let me know what, or are you familiar with what polymorphism is?
Polymorphism is something which is a object-oriented properties. Basically, polymorphism is the ability of an object to take many forms. Of the most common use of polymorphism is the object-oriented programming. Occurs when a parent class reference is used to refer to a child class object, and the Java object that can pass more than one if text can be considered polymorphism. So basically, polymorphism is like compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So this is called static binding and dynamic binding. And an important type of this polymorphism is how the parent class refers to a child class object. And it writes any object that satisfies more than one relationship is polymorphic. And then you can, I should say, it is for the static binding and dynamic binding in the application code.
Sure, cool. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and just kind of move on. So is Java you say that's your strongest? Do you have any other experience with other languages as well?
Yes, I also have Python, and I have some experience with Ruby and PowerShell and Bash and Shell script. Yeah.
So so ranking those languages, do you use them all, or is Java your strongest language?
I can say Java and Python are my strongest languages.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And just I'll do a quick, simple question here. If you use Python, what package manager do you normally use to install things?
So, package manager?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, package manager is like I use like pip. And coming to Python shell, using the pip and also a virtual environment, pip and virtual environment, also Maven and Ant.
Okay. Thank you. And virtual environment. So you mentioned Maven and Ant. How are they package managers?
So package managers actually been using for the Java build tools and also for getting the package management. In this case, for Linux, I have used the RPM and YUM and also Debian.
That's cool. That's fine. I just wanted to know a little bit more of, you said Ant and Maven you mentioned as package managers for Python. How are they related, or you just kind of, how are they related?
No, I mean for Java, not for Python. So for Python, I have used the pip package manager.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. So let's go ahead and just kind of go on here. So I would like to actually just kind of go into some of your experiences. You mentioned that you use Docker and you've used Ansible and Kubernetes. How do you normally use them? And you mentioned that you've done Docker files in general. Can you explain to me or give me examples of when you've actually used those technologies?
Mm-hmm. So usually I was using the Docker file and Docker containers to able to run microservices. First of all, I was trying to Dockerize in container in a various kind of containers on the deployment environment to basic level responsible for writing the various stages and such inside the Docker file and building it and pushing it to the remote container environment, and then from there also trying to handle the container deployment, orchestration environment, and also release it on the container level services. And also how we could go and do the remote elastic container registry, and then from also go ahead and I know use it to terms of provisioning the manifest file by running the services and also creating various departments and services on top of that. So I should be taken to be able to create the container images on top of that and deploy.
Okay. So forgive me for probably miss a couple words here. So you took the Docker image. Just walk me through here. So that's step one, right? You took a Docker image, or did you build the Docker image?
Mm-hmm.
Which one is it?
So I built a Docker image.
So you built the Docker image, okay? So you built the Docker image because it sounds like you're describing the whole pipeline of what is going on. So I just want to kind of go a little deeper, just specifically onto a couple of sections. That helps you here. So you built the image, right, and you made a Docker file.
Yeah.
Now, what do you normally do with the Docker file?
Okay, I was building the Docker image and writing the Docker file and then push it. So basically, we'll be running command build Docker build -t image.
So you would push it like you would use it as a tool. So when you say push it, where does it go?
1 second. It's poor internet.
Sure.
I have internet connection with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it helps, I'll stop the video and then maybe your the audio might be better.
Okay.
How about I stop the video on my side? Maybe I'll help the streaming. Is that better?
Pushing to remote elastic container registry by running the Docker build -t image name and Docker push.
Yeah, cool. All right. So you push it to the registry. Now, what normally happens after that?
So normally after that, the next step is the Kubernetes command line interface on the Jenkins servers, and then try to export it to the outside world by running and creating a service on the application codes.
Okay, so you push to the registry. The registry then has Jenkins service looking into it. It picks up the change, and you're saying then what happens? You're saying the application just gets built? Is that right?
So after that, what will happen is that Kubernetes manifest will be created, and then we'll be working the Kubernetes manifest on top of that. We should be running the application code, and there shall try to handle the Kubernetes application management.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks. Great. So, okay, cool. And you've mentioned that you've done a couple of things with Groovy. Is that where you normally would do things with Groovy, with Jenkins or other pipelines or delivery systems?
Yeah. Yes, I was actually writing the Jenkins file-based Groovy pipeline using the Groovy integrations and integrating them to Groovy pipeline for the application. So we can actually deploy, I can actually deploy application on top of that, and also responsible for handling the Ruby deployment and release management.
Okay, and how would you be responsible for those things?
So responsible for creating Groovy pipelines from the scratch, and then also maintain of those pipelines. So I was responsible for doing the Groovy integration with the pipeline integration.
Okay. All right. So here we go. And I'm just going to bounce back and forth, okay, if it's all right with you. So let's ask, I'm going to ask you about some architecture questions, if you can.
Sure.
What's the best practices for, it seems like you're proficient in some of the microservices architecture. You're mentioning a couple of times CI/CD pipeline. So can you kind of give me an idea of what the best practices are for like good microservices architecture?
Sure. So basically, I would like to say to microservices architecture is the one of the best practices into, but not limited. But I actually trying to have we have to make sure distributed configuration of the microservices, and apart from that, we should have the client code generation and the continuous integrated delivery in this case. Apart from that, also other best practices that the backend persistence should be totally segregated, and they should be independently scalable, and also apart from that should be able to use the have the workers nodes and variable possible distribute the load balancing and have the layers of security.
And have layers of security, okay?
Yes.
So bear with me here. Did you know Ansible, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in a microservice architecture that you just mentioned, how would Ansible actually fit into this?
Ansible will help us to make sure that the microservices are deployed in the blue-green deployment. So basically, this will help us to take the code of the application on all the missions in the step-by-step manner. Who got any downtime? I would like to say in the step-by-step could be taken from the application-specific environment, and downtime and application code. Yes, this is one thing which really helps us allowed in specific inventor of the application implementation of the code. And then we can also handle the microservices promotion of the code using multiple containers and orchestration on top of that.
Okay, cool. And are you familiar or have any experiences with Ansible, or do you build Ansible, or just you use Ansible?
So I have written Ansible playbooks. I have a good experience with Ansible playbooks and writing them from the scratch.
Okay, cool. So what can you tell me, like, I guess, can you explain to me just the hierarchy of like what Ansible does with how the file system works?
Yeah, so basically Ansible using SSH protocol to be able to run the remote environment. I would like to try the services on the environment in this case. It's right to use the Python parameters like module inside the Ansible. Then we can also write custom module in Python to able to extend and improve the functionality of the Ansible playbook.
Okay, cool. And what is, I guess, you cool. Okay. And sorry about that. I just want to make sure that you can hear me. I know you were having some connection issues, so just let me know if I start breaking up again. I'll repeat my question.
I'm good.
All right, cool. And just bear with me. I just need 1 second here. I just wanted to make sure I'm doing a time check on myself. So we're good. And just to let you know, I forgot to mention, about 10 to 5 minutes before the next meeting or interview that you have, I'll allot that time to allow you to ask me questions. So this interview will be around 2:15-ish, so around 2:05 or 2:10, I'll stop my questions and allow you to actually ask me questions. All right?
Sure.
Cool. All right. So how comfortable are you with networking?
Networking, I have a good experience with on the TCP/IP OSI model and also configuring the firewall and the routers. In this case, we should be created on the application code in the firewall configuration on the router level integration.
Okay, cool. So are you familiar with, are you familiar with VPCs or just VLANs or how things networking and that level?
I'm very much familiar with the virtual private cloud. Apart from that, I'm also familiar with application code in the third-party environment and also have various terms of service level integrations.
Okay, cool. So let's dive into VPCs. Since you said you're comfortable with VPCs.
Sure.
Okay. So in general, how would you actually design a VPC setup?
So, creation of the custom or virtual private deployment. In this case, basically, I was trying to handle the cloud formation template, which will help us to do that. And recently, been started to use ITR form template to be able to create it on the target environment, and also using S3 for the state management of the template, and also had good experience in the cloud formation deployments and release management.
Okay, so are you saying that CloudFormation is probably your strongest templating, I don't want to say language, but technically it is a language. So yeah, is CloudFormation your strongest at this moment in time, or do you use other languages?
So CloudFormation, I can say CloudFormation is the strongest right now.
Okay, sure. So if you could walk me through just a general idea of like how VPC could kind of, what are the components that you need for a VPC for a simple web application? What would they be?
So coming to the virtual private cloud, I was actually responsible for handling the application, like elements of the application code and also release management. And we could handle the virtual private deployment on the application specific environment, and also inbound and outbound rules by using network access control list and the security groups, and try to make sure that we are only whitelisting specific ports in this case, and then try to handle the application and element, and also code should be taken from there and will demand the third party environments. This is what I was actually working on, and then I crossed the handle the application specific environment, which was taking from the code level integration and elements.
Okay, so you're just handling the inbound and outbound of the application and then the application traffic itself, right? Is that saying okay? How are you with designing though, with architecture and general?
From that, I'm also creating the VPC pairing and setting up the route tables in this case of the day of the packet.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So walk me through on a 3-tier app how that would look like on a VPC, and then Karen, what you were saying.
So basically coming to the design of the virtual private cloud, directly responsible for designing the hub and smoke model in this case, which was used for the application code, and I can say features and application in this case inside the virtual private cloud, specifying the virtual private cloud deployment and getting this design of the application and designing the hub level.
Sure. So let's go through it. I want the specifics of a hub and spoke. So I have a VPC. I just spun it up. What happens next? I need an application for the web, web. So I'll just kind of give you examples and kind of just spill, feel free to keep control of it. So I need an application, and it needs to be a 3-tier application. How would that general design look like? So I have a VPC, and I need subnets. How would you decide those things? It's okay if you're uncomfortable with it. Just let me know.
Yeah, so I can say we have to design multi-single region, multi-VPC connectivity, and also request central servers and request full access to the central VPC, and also master configuration with the pairing connections between each VPC pair, and enable the flow of traffic between the VPC, and enable the route table for the master of the master, and gateway route tables support maximum hundreds inside. That will help you define multiple logical connections called virtual interfaces. And inside the Amazon Direct, you can create define a requirement of the interfaces and default route, and perform the route summarization of the availability side, and transit VPC to have the management customer gateway.
Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and move on. I just want to get more of a scope of your experience here. Let's see here. Are you familiar with databases by any chance?
I'm sorry.
Are you comfortable or familiar with databases?
I'm familiar with, like, I have experience with database.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's, on your resume here. So can you tell me what are common trade-offs of relational databases versus NoSQL databases, or even data warehouse?
Yes, the main differences between the relational databases and non-relational databases is actually a transaction database. Apart from that, I would like to say that is a bit slower than the non-relational, and then come with the relation is actually document database, which is faster and can easily scale depends on it, and using high performance transactions, and relational database system is actually used for the transaction management of the data.
Okay. And do you have any experiences using NoSQL or SQL like relational databases? I see you use it a lot, like Zookeeper, etc. But
Yeah,
can you give me an example of some stuff?
Yeah, good experience with SQL and non-SQL databases, in this case application code, and also for handling various kind of stuff, and also have the application code, also have the equality.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to be careful with the time. I don't want to overextend anything kind of crazy. So let's go back to the Kubernetes for a second. If you had to rate yourself 1 through 5, saying expert level is 1 and beginner level is 5, which one would you be?
I can say myself 4 out of 5.
Okay, sure. So can you give me the components of what a Kubernetes cluster would look like?
Components of Kubernetes, right? So inside a Kubernetes cluster, there will be a master which have a VPS server. I would like to say basically inside the application codes, healthy master level integration with application codes inside. That is actually having the application specific environment, and you have a HC and schedule manager, and then inside the schedule of managerial actions. And there is a target mission which should be physically taken from there, and then you can also have the API server, kubectl, kubeadmin, kubeproxy, and schedule manager, XC.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. And can you describe the difference between a control plane and a data plane?
Yeah, I would like to say that come to the control plane of the Kubernetes is actually used for controlling the entire Kubernetes in terms, and metallic to say that basically that is one thing. Apart from that, coming to the data plan, that is actually refers to all the functions and processes that forward packets from one interface to the other. Or maybe around coming to the data level stuff in this case, and basically inside the Kubernetes environment have the various volumes in the persistent volume claim and control plane consist of the collection of processes, running area classes, and then also aeroplane in the Amazon will be having the various can determine components like the application level stuff in the transit of integration.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. We do have 10 minutes left. Would you like another question, or can you give me questions in return? We're going to flip the table here.
Yeah, sure.
You have the option of one more question, or you can just ask me questions.
Sure, anything is fine for me.
How about this? I'll give you a break. I'm sure it's a marathon now. Why don't you just ask me questions?
Sure. So I would like to know what is the team size and day-to-day responsibilities, and also the team culture.
Sure. The team actually is dependent on who you're going to report to. With some teams can range from 5 that just started to 30 to 20. It's really it's a sliding scale. It depends on the team that you're going to join. My daily daylight would be check my emails, figure out what's in my Slack, my time, talk to my customers, talk to my teammates, and if depending on what Jira tickets I have or what documents I have to write up, that would be my task for the day. And in the current situation, everybody's working from home, so you have flexibility of your time as well. And work-life balance is pretty important. Virus or no virus. So that's basically it. I mean, any other questions?
What are the expectations? What are you expecting from this?
Sorry, you cut out there.
So, what are the expectations from this role?
Expectations, that varies as well. And it's also more like, what do you want to do? How about that? It's really, as Amazon driven. So the question is, what do you want to do? It's not really our expectations of you. It's more like, or anybody's expectations of you. It's more like, what do you want to learn? What do you want to drive out of your career? Where do you want your career to go? And those are the things that I'm allowed to, because I work for this awesome company that allows me to learn random things. And I mean really random. The other day I took a Scrum, class and passed it just for fun. And it has nothing to do with me being a Scrum Master. It's just because I wanted to know how they work. Maybe I could better help communicate with them, because language is important. The other day I randomly got pulled into meetings for talking about interns, and I have nothing to do with interns. So the question is, what do you want to do? And I also code on the side. I do open source stuff. I do contribute to a bunch of different communities, and it's because I want to do them, and no expectations of me doing them now.
Cool. Yeah.
What about yourself? What drives you to want to apply for Amazon?
Okay. Can you come again?
Sure. What interests you about Amazon? Why was it a shiny object for you?
So I can say Amazon is one of my dream company, and also the JD matches my profile. I can have the same skill set what I'm working at currently now, and I like the technology you are using, and the fact cloud is having so many components, and it's very a boom now.
Okay, cool. So you're trying to get ahead of the curve?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any other questions for me?
No, I'm done.
Okay, so just to let you know, I guess, about the company more. So you mentioned, what's the daily life like? Again, it's such a fluid company. You could do whatever you would like to do. It's very promoted that you could one day be a developer, one day be the product developer or a device robotics maker. It really doesn't matter. It's really what your passion and what your end goal of your career, what you want it to be. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but there's going to be some people that are against change. This company loves change. I mean, change is every day type of change, and that's the refreshing part of it. I'm not sure what companies you've gone through in the past, but they're usually pretty limited for me. But they're kind of awesome in the fact that I've done a lot of weird things. I've traveled a lot around the world before the virus to different places to start up verticals and meet other people all around the world. Awesome. So you do have 5 minutes left. What else would you like to know?
Not pretty much.
Would you like a break? Do you need a water or anything?
Yeah.
And I know you're going to be talking straight. You're welcome to have your 5 minutes back. And I'll talk for you. Let me just randomly think of things. So what's quite interesting, again, let's just bring it back to the actual position. I mentioned that I am a cloud infrastructure architect, but I do focus on specific things. containers, security, DevOps. Those are the things I choose to focus my time on. And again, title here, it doesn't matter. You could be a cloud infrastructure one day, and you could be DevOps automation builder. I had the luxury of doing multiple things as long as it completes and makes my customers happy, because we are customer obsessed, and the goal is to just have to meet their requirements and what they are expecting. So I've gone through security. We have things called area of depth, where if you're interested in security, you could actually become a security expert, or DevOps. If you want DevOps, we have micro DevOps communities where you can just kind of do POCs and kind of like side projects, kind of just share and just like kind of talk to people who like DevOps. It's nice. And it's funny because while the buildings were populated, you could walk into like people who've made the language like Java. The guy who made Java worked at Amazon, and it was just kind of funny because I was walking down the hall. I'm like, I think that's the guy. You could straight to stop a person who made the language and ask them questions. We had also, I think, one of the guys that made Python. I'm not sure if they're here or there or not, but at one point or another, looked him up. He was actually working on Amazon. Asked him a couple of questions. He's really cool. Talked to me right away. It was no, a hodgepodge of political stuff. Like, you can't talk to people. It's very close here.
Can I have some water?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go, do it.
I have it here itself. Oh.
Yeah. Please drink water, do whatever you want.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me know if you need like a bio break. I know it's kind of weird to be like on video. So if you need a break, go for it. I'll just hang out here.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Just I'm thirsty. That's it.
Hope so. Okay. Shinty, do you have any questions or anything you want to add?
No such questions. And like Virginia said, is you have a flexibility to explore anything you enjoy doing, and basically options are unlimited. Like, you just have to be self-driven to do it.
Okay.
Awesome. So I'm going to actually just remind you what's going to happen next. I think you you have another person joining. As long as the other person joins, then we're going to drop off. Just want to make sure that they actually join. And if they don't join, I'm going to go ping them and we'll drop off.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure. No problems. Just want to make sure you're not kind of just hanging out.